Hello, welcome to the Ancilla College presentation, Developing Online Learning Skills, as part of the Brightspace Student Orientation. Much of the information covered in this presentation will help you with all of your college classes, but this presentation is especially designed with the online courses specifically in mind. As you watch this presentation, please pay attention as there will be questions from this presentation on the quiz for this online student orientation course. One of the most important online learning skills you'll need to develop is time management. And when we think about online courses, sometimes before we take them, we wonder, hey, what can I expect in an online course? And some students enter an online course thinking that it will be a lot easier. They can spend just a few minutes on it a week. And other students think, well, I'll crank out the whole thing in 2 or 3 weeks and be done with it. You need to understand that online courses are required to be an equivalent to on-campus courses. So you should expect to spend roughly the same amount of time on those as you would with an on-campus course. The U.S. Department of Education defines 1 credit hour as 1 hour of classroom or direct faculty instruction and a minimum of 2 hours of out-of-class student work each week for approximately 15 weeks for 1 semester. Colleges have to abide by, and we have to plan both our on-campus and our online courses in accordance with that. But if you'd like to learn more and talk about those details, we'd be glad to work with you. Course time may vary depending on the level, the subject or skills involved, and individual factors. So one class may not be the same as the next. But heading into college courses and online courses specifically, you need to understand that these are not just random things that we pull together. We're operating off of nationwide standards. If you're doing the math that we saw on the slide before, then you're realizing, wow, yeah, I do need to make sure that I plan plenty of time to work, especially my online courses. What are some strategies for doing that? It helps to revisit the basics and start establishing some patterns early on. So one idea is to set a schedule. Block off time several times per week to work on your online coursework. And whether that means you have a break a couple of days a week between other classes, and that's when you tackle it. Maybe there are some evenings that you work better, whatever works for you. But I recommend being consistent. That way your brain and your body get used to, at this time during the week, we do our online course. You also want to plan ahead. So look and identify major project due dates. And that way you can work ahead on them. So for example, if you're taking a writing class, you're going to have multiple pages of major papers due. You don't want to start working on that the night before. But if you look ahead and you're working toward that, especially with online classes, things won't creep up on you so much. You also want to be ready for busy times. Look at your course schedules that you get and start looking, when are major papers due, when are tests going to be. Oftentimes students will start remarking, hey, wow, I have a whole bunch of important stuff due right around the same time in multiple classes. Make sure that you're working in time to work on your online coursework and getting as much out of the way as you can. Moving on, let's look at some more skills that you'll want to develop, especially for your online work. Start establishing yourself as an independent worker and start working on your self-motivation. Independent learners practice being task-oriented. Rather than viewing everything as this one big, massive things I need to get done, how do I separate that into individual tasks? And a lot of times students, when they start online courses, it can be overwhelming. So make a checklist for yourself or start making charts to stay on task so that you can physically check things off of a list, help yourself see yourself accomplishing things. And by becoming task-oriented, you'll be able to work through things a little bit more easily. Also, become more goal-oriented. And that means setting goals for when you'll get things done and what you'll get done and how, what kind of a level of quality or achievement you'll get on those. So for example, by Tuesday, I will have finished looking at my lesson content already. Then I'll start taking my quizzes and doing my discussion forums and these other things I need to do. You can also be achievement-based in your goals. I have quizzes every week. That's a normal thing for an online class, normal thing for a lot of classes. I want to average 90% on my quizzes. Okay, so now you set goals and now you have something to work toward. That's one way of helping yourself become more independent and self-motivated. Let's talk about some strategies then for independence and self-motivation. First, you can remind yourself of some things. Remember why you're taking the class. You're learning skills from that class that will help you become better in your field or just a general professional overall. You also want to reflect on your long-term goals and where those classes fit into your long-term goals. You want to have a very happy graduation day down the road and keep that ahead of yourself as a goal. You also want to reward yourself because sometimes those long-term goals can get a little overwhelming and seem very far away. So make short-term incentives for accomplishing tasks, whether that's a favorite snack or going out to play some basketball somewhere, or playing video games is a great incentive. And you can also make rewards as part of your self-care plan as well. And I bring that up because it's important that as you're working through things and taking classes, especially online classes, we want to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves, because we'll actually perform better if we do take care of ourselves. So make sure you plan in breaks as you're working, and that'll help you stay motivated and help you move through a little bit more of a healthy way. Reading and writing are a set of skills you'll want to consider as you get into online coursework as well. College classes in general are going to require a fair amount of reading out of textbooks and other materials that your professors will provide. Online classes often include additional reading content that would replace the in-class teaching. Some professors will post videos or narrated PowerPoints like this one, but there are instructors who will put up a little bit more in the way of reading, or they'll post notes from what they would normally lecture in class. So just be aware you may end up doing a little bit more reading depending on the class. You also want to consider that in-class discussions are going to be replaced by discussion forums. And as awesome as those in-class discussions are, you can have a good experience and network and learn from other students through discussion forums. That's going to take more reading and writing, where you read other students' posts and then write your own and then comment on each other's posts and learn from each other. You'll keep developing your communication skills in other ways as well. Oftentimes in a classroom setting, we kind of wait for other people to ask the questions and hope that somebody else gets to it, or hope that the professor eventually gets around to what we're wondering. You're going to have to take it on yourself a little bit more to communicate and ask those questions. You also want to make sure that you request feedback. Some professors will provide feedback on assignments as needed, but there are times when you'll want to ask and say, I noticed that I got this score on this assignment. Would you mind providing a little bit more feedback on how I can improve or what was weak about it? You also want to use communication skills to connect with classmates. Oftentimes, online learners find it really helpful to set up study partners or groups. And you can make study groups and have study partners even online, even if you never meet in person. You can also find others that you trust to discuss ideas or compare notes. This is, again, one of the valuable pieces of those discussion forums, is you can start paying attention to who some of the students are and what they say, and start saying, you know, I really connect with what that person says, or I can tell that this person puts a lot of thought into it. I want that person to be my study buddy. Another way you'll enhance your online communication skills is through working on Netiquette. And Netiquette is kind of based on the word etiquette. Basically what that means is respectful interaction. So as you're working on public discussion forums or in private emails or messages, you want to make sure that you're being respectful to others. Even though you may not have to be super formal in your writing, that you're not using so much slang or using so many casual terms or LOL type abbreviations, that you're kind of making your message not so clear. Avoid things like sarcasm, and you'll want to make sure that you are very aware of your tone. Because remember, people won't have the ability to look at your body language or hear the tone of your voice to know that you're joking around or kidding, and that's where sometimes misunderstandings happen. Another important online learning skill is flexibility. Learn how to be a little bit more flexible when it comes to how your classes are set up and what you're able to work through. Sometimes one instructor will use a slightly different format than another, or maybe they'll have different approaches for due dates. One might have due dates during the week, whereas another one might always have due dates on Sunday nights. You also might encounter some differences in late work policies. Some professors are very, very strict about or not accepting late work. Others will accept late work for penalties. Look through your syllabus to find out about some of these things and keep an observation on how your instructor runs things. There will be some flexibility in delivery related to how you get your lesson content. So again, some that rely heavily on readings. You're going to have others who have recorded lectures. Others are going to have narrated PowerPoints. Understand how the course is going to be delivered to you, and then make any adjustments that you need to. So sitting there and taking notes if there's not something specific that outlines it for you already, for example. You also want to be flexible in the way that you access your learning content. So you need to decide already, what are your backup plans? What happens when your laptop breaks down? Or what happens when you don't have access to that computer at that friend's house? So make sure that you set up, I recommend several backup plans so that if something falls through, if something breaks or gets a virus or whatever else, you already know how you're going to take care of your online courses before the problem even happens. As you get started in online classes or in online learning related to your other college classes, be aware of the resources that are available for you. You've got various places where you can get tutoring and help with the Writing Lab and the Math Lab and the Center for Student Achievement. And some of these are available with online sources as well. The Writing Lab, you can email them a paper and get comments on it. Keep in mind that there is help for Brightspace issues that you encounter. We're going to have a frequently asked questions page available for you and contact information for how to get help if you can't figure things out using the resources you already have. You also want to know your resources are for Ancilla College, and I'm not just talking about health and mental health. You'll cover that in other orientation sessions. But as far as if you do run into problems with your online class and who to talk to, of course, you will always want to contact the faculty member running the class and teaching to say, hey, I'm encountering some issues, or I don't quite understand what's going on here. Can we try to resolve this? The next step above that is the division chair. And above that is the Vice President of Academic and Student Affairs. And I encourage all students to know kind of that scale of who to contact if you have questions, or if you're trying to get a hold of your instructor and they're not responding, or if there's another problem. Finally, one of the most important skills that you'll want to develop relates to persistence. Keep on going. It's going to get tough sometimes. That happens to everybody. You just need to keep on going. You're going to have some setbacks that will happen, whether it's a flat tire or whether it's an illness or something else. Sometimes the setbacks will be of your own making. You'll make mistakes. That happens. What's most important is that you respond and recover from that. People generally will understand that we all make mistakes and want to help you overcome those things. Communicate with faculty members so they're aware of it. Many of us want to help you, and many of us are aware of other resources that we can put you in touch with. Make sure that you do get help where needed. In fact, we encourage you to ask for help. That is part of becoming a professional, is knowing how to ask for help. And many of the students that we've seen succeed over the years succeeded because they were able and willing to ask for help, and they were able to persist through some difficult times and succeed in their courses. Thank you for watching this presentation. I hope it's helped you learn about some online learning skills. Please contact faculty members and others who can help you, and we're always glad to help. Thanks for watching.